Hi, my name's Carly, and my presentation is on elderly living alone and the health concerns that come with it. A little bit about this population is elderly is a person of old or aging. An elderly person living alone is also known as aging in place. This means no one else is living in the same household who is available to help, and there can be many reasons for this. For example, being divorced, having loss of a spouse and being a widow, or the burden on children, and that can go both ways. Either the elderly feels that or the child feels like the parent is a burden on them. And elderly who live alone are more likely to report falls in the past 12 months, have worsening function, decline in performing activities of daily living, and limit their activities due to fear of living alone. Some statistics of the size of this population. Locally, 30% of the elderly population live alone in Logan, Utah. Statewide, 23% of elderly live alone in Utah. Nationally, ages 65 or older, 25.9% of elderly live alone. Ages 65 to 74, 1 in 5 live alone. Ages 85 and older, 4 in 20 live alone. Internationally, 16% of elderly 60 or older live alone. Locally, 4.1% more elderly live alone compared to nationally, and there can be many reasons for this. For example, oftentimes they have kids close by that can come check on them daily. Cache Valley is a pretty safe environment, and there's more opportunities for help nowadays, such as private pay for housekeeping, home health for therapy. They can pay somebody to come in and shower them. Oftentimes people pay for private duty just to have somebody to check on their parents and make sure they are okay. Social detriment of health for elderly living alone. A big one, and that will relate to others, is transportation. Can they drive? Are they safe to drive? If not, how do they get around? Do they have a bus that's close by? Is it within walkable distance? Do they use a walker? Things like that. And going along with that, access to healthcare services. How do they get to the doctor if they can't drive? Availability of resources to meet daily and health needs. Do they have enough food? Are they able to get their medications? And that plays into transportation again. Are they able to safely perform their activities of daily living and have proper hygiene? Housing design, is it a two-story? And then comes physical barriers with the two-story because you have stairs. Stairs lead to increased risk of falls. Specific concerns for elderly living alone. Physically, their age is a concern, their risk for falls, and they have a decline in function as they continue to age. Psychosocial, loneliness is one of the main ones for elderly living alone, and this can lead to depression, which in the end will lead to a poor quality of life. Economically, 48% of elderly in the U.S. have an income 2 times less than those in poverty. And this goes into being able to afford health care and if they qualify for Medicare and Social Security benefits. Those are often have really strict rules, and not every elderly person is able to get those. So for the root cause, the problem I chose is the increased risk of falls for elderly. And so why does this happen? Brainstorming, there's many things. Age, chronic diseases such as diabetes, incontinence, trying to get up at night by themselves, decline in physical strength, which could lead to falls, and home hazards. The one that I chose to focus on was home hazards because my topic focuses on elderly living alone. So when asking the whys, why did you land on the ground? I was falling. What made you fall? Well, my stairs. Why do you have stairs? To get to my bedroom or to my bathroom, things like that. So oftentimes home hazards are going to be the root of cause for falls in elderly living alone. For Maslow's hierarchy of needs, only a few were met for this population, and these are breathing, sleep, homeostasis, excretion. Unmet is food, water, sex, friendship, family, self-esteem, confidence, respect of others, respect by others, problem solving, acceptance of facts, creativity, and spontaneity. How can they be spontaneous if they can't drive, if they can't leave their home? And then the anticipated functional level is poor. If they are unable to properly sustain physiological safety, love and belonging, esteem, and self-actualization, they are barely surviving by only meeting those 4 needs physiologically. So the likely health outcomes for this population, they're going to have a poor quality of life and a poor function. some communicable diseases or infections. So as people get older, their immune system and organs become weak, not being able to recognize harmful germs that may inherit their body. Chronic conditions can also increase the risk of getting communicable diseases such as diabetes, cancer, kidney problems. A few examples of these infectious diseases can be the flu, a really popular one right now, COVID-19, hepatitis A and B, tuberculosis, and MRSA. For prevention, one of the main things is washing our hands for 20 seconds often, immunizations, and avoiding sick people and large crowds. Non-communicable diseases for infections. So, as people age, their lifestyle from growing up can influence their elderly health status. Oftentimes, this is a stroke, chronic lung disease, cancer, or diabetes, and this is from physical inactivity, unhealthy diet, tobacco use, and alcohol from a younger age or even to the current elderly age. And prevention for this is doing physical activity daily, even starting in your 20s, and this will impact your elderly age. Having a healthy diet starting young, avoiding tobacco, and avoiding alcohol. This is a lifetime thing that people need to really focus on for when they do become elderly. Specific concerns for self-care and self-harm. Elderly are a high risk for self-harm and self-care deficits. Dementia, this is an unintentional one as they often do not know what they're doing. Sometimes they lower their physical activity because they have a fear of falling. Living alone already is a risk for self-harm. We talked about the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, weakness, their economic status, psychosocial. So their prevention, like I talked about, these special cares could be home health, hospice, private duty showers, housekeeping, things like that, family close by. There's many things that could be used to help prevent. So specific concerns of risk for harm to others and for themselves. So elderly are at a high risk of harm and harm to others when living alone. So the harm to others is often their cognitive impairment when they have dementia and Alzheimer's. This can lead to a distrust of neighbors, home hazards such as leaving the stove on, and agitation and aggression towards caregivers who may be coming in the home. And they're also at a risk for harm from robbing from neighbors, physical abuse, sexual abuse, financial abuse, and neglect. And sometimes this can even be from their own children and the people who are closest. And these are the references for my presentation. I hope you enjoyed the presentation and were able to learn all that was needed. Thanks.